Hey guys, so in this episode we are going to be talking about adding a lazy eye modification to your vehicle. Now if you have a 1980s vehicle with pop-up headlights, we all know they look god-awful when they're up, and why not have some fun with them and have that lazy eye look? You don't need to buy a kit online for hundreds of dollars. It's a simple modification that I can show you how to do. In particular, I'm going to be showing you for my car, my Toyota MR2. And the first thing you want to do is get your electrical wiring diagram book for your particular model car, and go to the area which talks about headlights. So this is the wiring diagram for the headlights, and what we're really interested in finding here is the fuse for the motor. And this is the motor that controls the up-down motion of those pop-up headlights. So if we take a look here, we can see here a 30 amp motor fuse, and so this is controlling the power from the battery to those headlight motors, which control that up-down motion. And what we can see here is there's a power coming in from the battery and then power going out. And so what we can do is we can add a manual disconnect with just a simple switch in line with this fuse. And then when we operate our headlights normally, so say we go flick the switch on to raise the headlights, but we have that manual disconnect engaged, the motors won't be getting power even though the car is telling it, power these motors. Because you've disconnected it, they won't be getting power. And then what you do is, with that little switch, you turn it on and off really quickly. And that will give power to the motors for a very short duration. And that will raise them only a certain amount. And you can sort of fine-tune that and control it and get that lazy eye look. It's as simple as adding a switch to this wiring circuit. You don't need a fancy kit from eBay. Let's go do it. Let's go show you how easy it is for a couple bucks. Okay, so we found the motor fuse on the electrical wiring diagram, but the next step is to find it actually in, somewhere in your car. So your car should have fuse blocks, where all the fuses are housed. In this case, the headlight fuse is located in the front fuse box. So this is the front of the MR2. And if we zoom in here to the fuse box, we can see a bunch of different fuses for different components in the car. We're going to have one labeled rotor or RTR motor, and that's for the headlights. And that's a 30 amp fuse like we talked about before. So what we've done is simply added 2 wires and put those in place for the fuse. And we still have the fuse installed. We still want to keep that fuse. This is a safety thing. We don't want to blow those headlight motors. But now, in line with this fuse, we have 2 wires coming out going to a switch in the interior of the car. So we can actually manually disconnect the current going through this fuse to those headlight motors. So it's as simple as adding a couple wires to the fuse and running those wires to a switch in the interior. So I'm going to go ahead and show you my switch and show you the operation of this lazy eye modification. So on the Toyota MR2, the headlights are controlled by a switch on the left of the dash, and this controls the headlights. So the off position, we have marker lights, we have headlights up with the bulbs on, or headlights up with the bulbs off. This is our standard control. If we didn't have the modification, this would control it as normal. But we've wired in that manual disconnect, which you can see here labeled as lazy, and this is controlling the current to those headlight motors manually. So if I were to command the headlights to turn on, they're not going to do anything. You can see in the front of the car, in the hood, nothing's happening. There's no headlights going up, nothing's going on, even though they're being commanded to. And that's because this switch is not on. If I turn them on, you could hear it, and now you see the headlights have opened. So I've manually let the current go to those headlight motors by using this switch. Now I just left it on for the whole duration, so the headlights went all the way up. But if we now close the headlights, okay, now let's disconnect our manual switch. Let's recommand the headlights to open. And now instead of opening this for the full duration, let's just see, it's easier with two hands. Let's just see if we can get it for a little bit. Okay, you can see they've popped up a little bit. Let's try to get a little bit more. Okay, that was a bit too much. You need to sort of finesse that. But again, I'm controlling the current to the headlights with this switch manually, so I turn it on off really quickly. And I can get any level of headlights being raised that I want. So let's get it from a different angle. You can see what it looks like. There you have it. Now we can keep the headlights on if we want. Probably don't want them to be on. This is usually a modification done during the day. So we just command the headlights to turn off as usual. But again, because we've disconnected the current to the servo or the motors for the headlights, they don't lower. And so now we have permanent lazy eyes. For a couple bucks, you need one switch, a couple wires, and some electrical connectors. Go ahead, have fun.